So I just recently attended a trade show called Printing United, and let me tell you that I learned a lot. But one of the things that I kept hearing the most from a lot of people was, this is all so overwhelming. How do I actually get started? What's best for me? So today I'm going to be breaking it down for you, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I would get started if I were getting started today. I understand there's a lot of fancy things out there. There's DTG printers, DTF printers, heat transfer vinyl transfers, sublimation. There's UV DTF. There's inkjet printing. There's literally everything that you could think of, and the prices and the information is just everywhere. So I'm gonna tell you how I would get started right now, and pretty much just my thoughts behind everything. Right. So first off, DTG and DTF printers. These are the most popular things right now. This is the hot item on the market, but it's also one of the most expensive items on the market. And when I talk about expensive, I'm talking about $5, $6, $10, $15, $20,000 plus. And most of us don't have that budget to get started, much less the space to be able to have all of this equipment. DTG printers are pretty big. DTF printers are pretty big. There's an entire process that goes behind all of it. Most of the times you're going to have to finance a lot of this equipment because it's really expensive. So my personal opinion, don't start with a DTG or a DTF printer. It's extremely expensive. There's a lot of maintenance. There's a huge learning curve. And a lot of the times you're not going to have the amount of work right off the bat or straight from the beginning to keep these machines running, which both of them need to do in order to stay, working. So my experience with a DTG printer, everything is in here for you, the entire breakdown. But in short, with the Ricoh RI1000, which is the one that I had in particular, if you don't use it, it's always cycling ink. So if you don't use it for a week, it's still draining the white ink, the C, the Y, the M, and the K. It's draining all the inks, and it's literally flushing them down the drain. Why? Because the print heads need to stay moist. Same thing with DTF printers. The print heads need to stay moist. They need to be consistently used, because if you don't, they're going to dry up. And if they get dry, then that means you need to, well, first off, you're going to try to unclog it. But if you can't do that, which a lot of times happens, you need to replace a print head. And that's already an extra few $1,000s and a lot of work. Some work that some people might not be technically inclined to do, because you got to open up the printer, you got to take out the print head, disconnect a few things, all that stuff. Now, while it might be okay for some people, at least for me, it was not it. I didn't have the work to be printing every single day, all day, nonstop. I was working a 9 to 5. And even to this day, I'm still not printing every single day because I have a few other things I need to do. So it was literally a waste of money. And it got to the point where I was just like, it's so much easier to just outsource these things and just order transfers. Now, that's one way that you can get started. You can literally get started with just a heat press, and whenever you have an order, you order DTF or screen print transfers. There's also heat transfer vinyl. Heat transfer vinyl is great to get started. So let's talk about these two different options right now. Now, you can get started with heat transfer vinyl. My recommendation would be getting started with a Caesar Juliet or the Romeo. The Juliet is going to be the 12-inch cutter. That's more the household name. The Romeo is going to be the 20-inch, which is a little bit bigger. And if you want to do larger format products, like let's say if you want to do, signs for windows with adhesive vinyl, then you can do that with one of these cutters or both of these cutters. But we're talking about t-shirts. So in terms of t-shirts, right, heat transfer vinyl is a really good solution. It lets you create one-off orders. If somebody just wants one t-shirt, you can do it with heat transfer vinyl. And realistically speaking, it's good. HTV, some people don't like the feel of it because it just feels like a layer on top of the shirt, which it is. But at the end of the day, it gets the job done, especially if you need 1, 2, maybe even 5 shirts. Now, here's the thing about heat transfer vinyl, right? If you don't press it right, or if you use a bad brand, it could start to peel. But if you press it right, and if you use a good and reputable brand such as Caesar, then you aren't going to have any issues. A lot of the times, these products, they actually outlast the shirt themselves. Now, in terms of quality, right? It's great quality. Some of them are softer than others, but with Caesar, I've never had anybody complain. Nobody has ever complained of the feel of heat transfer vinyl, at least not to me. Yeah, there's some people that don't like it, but the majority of people, they really don't care. Now, heat transfer vinyl is awesome because, again, you can do one-offs, you can do custom products. If somebody needs one, you could do just that one. But when it comes to higher orders, that's when things start to get a little bit complicated. Because when you start getting maybe 10, 15, 20 different shirts to do, you need to cut the vinyl. And then you need to weed the vinyl, which it's all fine and dandy, but it's going to take a long time. The cutting plus the weeding, it adds an insane amount of time. Now, you could be like me and be super stubborn and just do it for maybe 1 to 2 years and just waste a lot of time and regret it as you're doing it, right? But now there's so many other options you have available, such as transfers, that really can help get these bulk orders done. So when it comes to transfers, we have 2 options. We actually have a lot of options, but the most popular ones are going to be the one that everybody knows of at this point, which is DTF transfers, and we're going to have screen print transfers. Now, screen print transfers used to be the most common types of transfers, but as DTF became more popular, people started forgetting about them. But there's a huge, and I mean huge, benefit to screen print transfers. So with DTF transfers, everyone asks, when should I use this? When should I use that? My suggestion is create a gang sheet of DTF and get that same pricing for screen print transfers. So create your gang sheet and fill it up with all of your transfers, all of the different prints that you're going to need. Then upload it to, let's say, Pro World, which is my recommendation for screen print and DTF transfers. And from there, get your pricing for those DTF transfers. Now, if you have a single color transfer, or if you have a big bulk order of full color transfers, let's say you have 100 plus in terms of shirts that you need to do, then you can also check out screen print transfers and get a quote for that. See which one is better for you. Whichever product you go with, whether it be DTF or screen print, the quality is going to be good. You're going to have good quality transfers, transfers that don't peel, transfers that don't crack, and that most of the times are going to outlast the lifespan of the shirt. All of Pro World's transfers are guaranteed and tested 40 to 50 plus washes. So you're never sacrificing quality. I used to be super stubborn and I would only use heat transfer vinyl for the simple fact that I thought that's where the profits were. But that's not true. If you outsource for screen print transfers, you can actually get a lot higher profits and you get a lot of your time back. Let's say it takes you, I don't know, an entire day to do one bulk order with heat transfer vinyl. With screen print transfers or DTF transfers, you could have done it in like an hour or 2, meaning you could fit more jobs into one day. Now, there's a few things that we need to learn about screen print and DTF transfers as well, because there's a little bit of confusion between hot peel and cold peel. So what is the difference? Simply put, a hot peel transfer means the moment that you press that transfer and the heat press opens up, you peel that transfer immediately. Cold peel means you're going to press the transfer onto the shirt, you're going to open up the heat press, you're going to remove the shirt from the heat press, and then you're going to let it cool down to the touch. Then you peel the transfer, and then you press it one more time to make sure that it's sealed on there. Now, cold peel is not where it's at, at least not for DTF transfers. Screen print transfers, fine, because there's a few different types of transfers, like let's say silicone transfers, that need to be cold peel. But DTF, if you have cold peel DTF, you're missing out on money and you're just losing a lot of time. You literally spend 2 to 3 times more time pressing the same amount of shirts than you would with a hot peel transfer. Because with a hot peel transfer, you just peel it as soon as that press pops up, and that's it. You press it one more time and you're done. Cold peel, you have to actually take it out, wait, and then put it back. So it adds a lot to the process, especially if you're doing front and back. Now, when should you use which? When should you use heat transfer vinyl? When should you use screen print? When should you use DTF? Now, this is really going to depend solely on your job specifics, but on average, or as a general rule of thumb, heat transfer vinyl, anything you have low quantities of, or anything that needs to be customized in the lower quantities. DTF, if you have anything that's full color, if you have any big designs, if you have anything maybe less than 20, you can use a DTF gang sheet. Now, when it comes to screen print transfers, these are typically going to be used maybe 20 or 25 or more of the same design, in the same size, in the same color. They also have full color options, but the full color options are going to be a little bit better when you have bigger quantities, like let's say 50 or 100 or more. Now, that doesn't mean that if you have 50 single color, let's say 50 white pocket logos, right? You might not want to go with screen print transfers, because on a DTF gang sheet, you can fit all 50 of those in a smaller sheet, and it'll be cheaper than getting the screen print transfers. But then you have, let's say, a big design for the front of the shirt, or let's say for the back of the shirt, actually, a big design for the back of the shirt, which it's going to make a really, really, really long gang sheet. You have to keep in mind that DTF does not have price breaks the bigger the sheets are, but screen print transfers do. So the more screen print transfers you order, the better price you're going to get. So in this case, let's say you have a pocket logo for the front and you have a big logo for the back. Everything is just white, let's say. You can get a DTF gang sheet, fill it up with the white pocket logos, and then go ahead and get the back design or the back print in screen print transfers. So that's why I say it's always good to just get the pricing for both DTF and screen print transfers and compare them. And don't be afraid to mix and match. Sometimes, let's say you might have somebody that asks you, all right, let me get 100 shirts, but I only need 5 of them with a name in the back. Everything else needs to be the same. Well, in that case, you can do what I just said, right? You get DTF for the front print, then you get screen print transfers for the back. But because you have 5 names on there that, aren't going to be able to be done through the screen print transfers, you can take those names and add them to the DTF gang sheet. Or let's say something happens, you mess one up, or even they tell you after you order your transfers, oh, I forgot to tell you, I need names on these. Well, that's when you have your heat transfer vinyl, because heat transfer vinyl can quickly get those quick little names done, and you can add them to the shirt. So don't ever be afraid to mix and match. Don't be afraid to use heat transfer vinyl and screen print transfers, or screen print transfers and DTF, or whatever it may be. Now there are lots, and I mean lots, of other printing methods, like let's say sublimation, right? Sublimation is also something that's very popular, but in my opinion, it's very limiting for the simple fact that if you want to focus on t-shirts, you need to focus on products or t-shirts that are a higher polyester count, and not just that, they also need to be a light color. So that really limits, the amount of stuff that you can do for t-shirts. But then you have a huge variety of products like tumblers that you can print. But on the flip side, now there's also UV DTF. So UV DTF is perfect because these are little stickers with a nice raised feel that can literally go on almost anything. And it actually looks a lot more professional than using a regular sticker. Now, yes, a lot of people like sublimation because it's literally baked onto the product, which is actually really beneficial because, it's not coming off, it's permanent. But again, in my personal opinion, sublimation is great for certain products, but on a few others, it can be very limiting. So if you really want to just focus on t-shirts in particular, I suggest going with a heat press, a cutter for heat transfer vinyl, and when you have anything bigger, you can go with screen print transfers or DTF transfers. And that's really just the simplified version of it. Now, if you do want any recommendations for any types of products, like let's say a heat press, my personal recommendation for a heat press is going to be the Transpro Plus heat press from ProWorld. I absolutely love it because, for one, it's a workhorse. 2, it's super stable, it's super sturdy, it has a great build. And 3, it has interchangeable Platens. And that in itself is amazing. Oh, and you can also feed your shirts through it. So you don't just lay the shirt on top, you can actually feed it through the platen, which is actually very helpful. Now, in terms of heat transfer vinyl and a vinyl cutter, I suggest going with a Caesar Juliet if you want to do just basic t-shirts, the 12-inch cutter. But if you do want to go a little bit bigger, you can check out the Caesar Romeo. And as far as heat transfer vinyl, I always use Caesar EasyWeed. That's my go-to when I use heat transfer vinyl. And they also have a lot of other specialty vinyls as well that have some pretty cool effects, like let's say glow in the dark, they have holographic, metallic, they have a lot of different products. And then in terms of screen print transfers or DTF transfers, I suggest just go with ProWorld. ProWorld has a pretty big line of different types of products, and they even have different types of patches, like rhinestones, leather patches, and a lot of other products that a lot of other companies don't have. Now, I have been working with ProWorld for a bit. I've worked with a lot of different transfer companies, and a lot of them are great. Some of them not so much, but ProWorld has definitely got to be in the top 3 transfer companies that I've used and that I've worked with, because they have great quality products. I mean, there's a reason they've been around for 50 years, right? Now, I am on their channel as well, so you can catch me on there. And make sure you check it out. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel here at NEKOPRINTS. Also, make sure you subscribe to the ProWorld channel, where you're going to get a lot more information on transfers, and pretty soon also heat transfer vinyl and more patches. All right, now let's quickly jump into designing, because I know a lot of people don't know about designing. They don't know how to design, and it's very complicated for them. Now for this, my go-to, I'm sure you've seen it tons of times, I use Kittle. Now Kittle has been essentially reinventing what it is to design for t-shirts. They have an amazing text-to-image generator that creates some really good designs using AI. So just check some of these out. I created this one right here for a phone case. And it's absolutely amazing the way it works, because you can go ahead and do one thing. You can ask it for this. So for this one, I asked a dragon flying across a Japanese village. But then since they incorporated Nano Banana, you can make really, really, really specific tweaks to your design. So in here, I asked it to give it a glowing aura and start blowing fire. And it literally left everything the way it is and then just changed what I asked it to. A few months ago, this was impossible. If you asked it to make a change, whether it be Kittle or anything else or any other type of AI, it would change the entire design. And that would just throw your entire design process out the window. Because if the client likes the design but they want a change in it, it would be hard to do. Now, another cool thing about Kittle is that right now they actually just released the trends report. Now, what is a trends report? Simply put, a report that you get in your email with trends. So they'll tell you what trends are coming up, what's going to be popular this season, what's currently popping off in the market. So that way you know what designs you can start focusing on. So if you want to start your own t-shirt business, whether it be your own brand or even do things for customers, a trends report is going to help you so much, because you're going to be able to stay up to date with what's trending. People are going to know that you know what's up, and you can even back it up by showing them designs that you've made using Kittle AI. This isn't just the only thing that I've made though. I've made so many other designs. Check out a few of these really quick. Now, this is actually one that I did for my son's school, and they don't do any copyright images, but you can drag and drop images onto here. Now, I didn't sell this. This is just something that I did personally for my kid's school, but this is essentially how it came out, right? So this was the first product. This is what I came up with. And then I took out the little bootleg Lightning McQueen over here, and then I added a regular Lightning McQueen. So I just dragged and dropped this one in. So as you can see, you can easily edit, you can easily move things around, and you're even able to remove the backgrounds. So these are print ready designs. You can add these directly to your DTF gang sheet, and they'll print without the white background. Now, another cool thing here is that you can actually remove the background through Kittle. So you can create your print ready designs directly on the platform. And to make things even sweeter, when you go ahead and download your designs, you can choose your resolution. So I usually just go with something that fits the shirt. I'll probably either do something like this, an 8.5 by 14, like a legal, or I can even go anything the size of my heat press platen, a 16 by 20. And the DPI, most places, they only give it to you at 72, which when it comes to printing, it's not the best. It comes out pixelated, it comes out blurry, it's not really good. So Kittle gives you another option. You can actually increase it to 300, which is perfect for print ready designs. That's what you need. That's what these companies look for to be able to print high quality images. Now, if you are interested in checking out Kittle, make sure you check out the link in the description below. Down there, I am going to have my affiliate link along with my promo code, so you can save an entire 25% off either your monthly or your yearly subscription. It's a pretty deep discount, so I highly suggest you do it for the yearly subscription, because it's going to give you a pretty nice discount. So again, make sure you use code NEKOPRINTSYT at checkout for Kittle to get 25% off. In a nutshell, that's pretty much starting a t-shirt business simplified. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of information out there. Somebody else might tell you the best way to get started is going to be a DTG printer. That's not the way I roll. That's not necessarily the case for me. I personally don't suggest that you start with a printer, because again, cost, maintenance, workload, it's a lot, and the learning curve can be pretty big. Not just that, but one last thing I forgot to mention: health hazards. When it comes to DTF printing, you have that powder and you have to cure it, and that causes some pretty nasty fumes that if you don't have a type of sophisticated ventilation system in your vicinity or wherever it is that you're printing, you don't want to be inhaling those gases. I've done it before, even with my garage door open, and it doesn't feel good. A little bit afterwards, I start to get lightheaded. My asthma starts to kick up a little bit, and I don't like to deal with that. And honestly, it's scary, to be honest with you. So that's just my take. But yeah, if this video helped you out, if it helped simplify anything, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. With that, my name is Mario with NEKOPRINTS, and catch you all next time. Peace.